Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to podcast episode number 2. Today, I am interviewing my good friend Keegan. Keegan, amongst many things, is, I want to say, not necessarily expert, but big fan of fashion. Such a big fan to the point that he's always broke because he's spending so much money on it. And fashion's something that does kind of fascinate me. For the most part, I usually get intimidated by people who are into a lot of the avant-garde, expensive, high-end styles. And it's something that I kind of just want to wrap my head around because I think, for the most part, intimidation is usually spurred on by just a lack of understanding. So, join me on this journey as I talk to my friend Keegan about some of the aspects that encompass the world of fashion. Now, before I start, a few things to plug. I have a show on the 21st of August out in Newtown called Line 'em Up Comedy. If you're free, come on down. It's the Newtown Social Club, 21st of August, 8 p.m. Tickets are $15. Get them while they're hot, baby, because they sell out. We sold out last time. It's our second show. Want to keep it running. Going to be a kick-ass lineup, and it's going to be a blast. So come on down, check it out on Event Finder. Follow me on Instagram, YouTube, like my Facebook page. I'm just desperate for your attention. Give it all to me. Enjoy the podcast, guys. 3, 2, 1. Keegan. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Of Gavin Learns, or maybe Gavin gets his ass educated. I was tossing up ideas for the podcast, like just the title.
Yeah.
And I came up with some really dumb ones, but I wanted to come up with something funny as well, but like not super self-deprecating. Somebody told me this one thing. I was like, I don't necessarily agree with this, but like, don't talk shit about yourself because your mind doesn't know the difference between your, like, the joke and like the actual thing. Yeah. I don't know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, it just makes it easier if you hate yourself anyway.
You just cut through the middle, man. So, basically, I wanted to have you on today just to kind of talk about, I guess, fashion in general, but also like some more specific topics that I kind of wanted to drill into. And I guess your background is more of just like a devout fan.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I wouldn't call myself an expert by any means. Like, I've never studied fashion. I've never made my own clothes. I've, never kind of... Yeah, I've always just liked it and thought it was cool. And, it starts by looking at some stuff and then you find something for cheap. So you buy that and then you love that and then you buy something else. And then before you know it, you're massively in debt.
You're bankrupt.
Yeah.
Calling daddy.
Daddy, please.
Did you... Because you were like 18 when you first started getting into clothing, right?
No, I was kind of younger than that, but I was, I think, 18 or 19 when I bought my first like designer piece, which was a pair of Margiela German Army trainers. The classic.
Of course, yeah. Just to be clear, I know nothing when it comes to fashion. I just get intimidated whenever I see somebody who's quite well versed when it comes to clothing.
Yeah.
Which is kind of why I don't think I really have like the spending habits to warrant like getting really into clothing, but I can definitely like appreciate the artistic value of clothing. Yeah. And I guess like one of my first questions that I ask when I hear about like, clothes is like, $500 for a t-shirt. How do you, and maybe you can't, but like, how do you warrant the expense? Like if you were to justify like me buying a nice coat that costs $2,000 versus like a decent coat that's $300, like how do you explain that to someone like me?
Yeah, well, for a t-shirt example, I mean, I kind of agree with you. $500 is insane.
Some so silly sometimes.
Yeah. No, but I mean, like I do have a couple of t-shirts which retailed for $500, but there's no way I spent that. Like I've got a Ralph Simmons t-shirt, which I love and which I bought, which retailed for $500, but I got it, for like $150, which is, I mean, still quite a lot for a t-shirt, but, I still love it. I've had it for like 5 years and I still wear it quite often, and if I decide to sell it, I could probably sell it for that price anyway, even secondhand, because the market for some pieces just really hold their value. Like, you're never paying less than $100, $200 for like any Ralph piece, no matter what it is.
Right. Is there like a Like, I guess, like, I mean, I remember our friend Nick did this thing where he was, buying clothes for cheaper and then reselling them. Are there still people doing that as like a full-time hustle outside of like a store, like a collector's store or something like that?
There is. It's not as common as it was when Nick was doing it, because he was buying it off Japan, off Yahoo auctions before people kind of caught on to the fact that you could do that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's not so common anymore. I think there's kind of, like for Raf Simons pieces, they're so expensive these days. Like $47,000 for a jacket,
right?
Which is just like, that's a house deposit.
Go on. Can't do either.
Yeah. But like when Nick was doing it, he was spending maybe $100 getting a Junya Watanabe jacket and then selling it for $400-500.
Right.
Like it was a lot easier to get cheaper stuff that people wanted but couldn't get. Whereas now I think everyone kind of knows how to get it, so it's not so. It's more cost prohibitive than
sure. It's just become saturated essentially.
I think so, yeah.
And so, like, why was so much stuff coming out of Japan though?
It's kind of a long story, but there's a lot of like, really influential Japanese designers, and I think Japan for a lot of people, for a lot of Western people, is just cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like a Japanese designer is like whoa, but then you've got people like Comme des Garçons and Yoji Yamamoto and stuff, which are Japanese, and they're kind of unlike anything else, and it's a very specific aesthetic, which I think a lot of people really love. And so you kind of, they're just good designers.
Right, yeah. And is it almost like there's a school of, not necessarily like an actual school, but like a school of thought within Japan that...
Yeah, for sure.
Because can you break it down? There's, in my mind, I might be totally wrong here, but there's Japan, there's Antwerp 6, is that right?
Yeah.
Did I get the number right? Fuck, just tell me.
I've actually forgotten.
But basically, there's in my mind, there's like the European side of things, and then there's the Japanese.
Yeah.
And there's not really so much one for the U.S. Am I wrong in that thinking? Or
yeah, I don't know. It's kind of I think a lot of the U.S. designers are kind of just so known, like Ralph Lauren and stuff. Like,
sure.
Everyone knows them. You kind of don't really think of them as like, fashion. But, there's brands, like some of the Japanese brands like Capital, or maybe they're kind of like equivalent, like they're big, they're everywhere, and they're kind of just not like, well, I mean, some pieces from Capital are pretty hyped, but like, it's pretty easy to get.
Like stock standard. And so there's something to be said for just like the nicheness of it.
I think so. But there are also like, a subset of people who really love prep clothing. Mm-hmm. And, it's not from just a basic go into a mall and buy a polo. It's, they really like it. They really enjoy it. Like I've got a friend who's massively into prep, and that's kind of all he wears.
Yeah, right. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I was always like, so it is though, like that, it is, as far as like that real niched down, high-end kind of fashion.
Yeah. It
comes from Japan and Europe, essentially.
I mean, it kind of comes from everywhere, I think. But a lot of the, like those are quite established brands now. That's like the 80s and stuff.
Right.
So that's, like 40 years ago now.
Yeah, sure. And it had all that time to kind of develop the grassroots. Yeah. I was talking about like what's the general evolution of where it's come today, because like we see it's almost come into the mainstream, like more so now than it ever has. And then it's almost like I feel like there's a few more categories than what there were of clothing as far as like people's general attention to it. So you have just your real basic stuff, like a Hallenstein's, which, we can buy here, no problem. But then you start going a bit more upmarket, and then you start having like things which are more like a hype brand. I feel like Supreme somewhat, and just other kind of things. But then you've kind of also developed like a third category where it's even, maybe there's like a bit of pretentiousness, or there's like a higher bit of regard to like that other category.
Yeah, the real fashion.
Yeah, exactly.
Big air quotes on that.
Yeah, but how did that happen? Like where does it, how does it develop from where it was, which was like, I guess in the 80s, is that right? To where it is now?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't alive in the 80s, so
Neither.
Yeah. Oh.
Newsflash. I'm
Yeah.
24 and I know everything. Whoa. I'm so smart.
What was the name of this podcast?
Yeah. Gavin learns. I'm learning. Learning.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think social media has a lot to answer for where fashion is at now. You know, there's a lot, and it's not everyone, but there's definitely, you know, a big market for clothes to wear on Instagram but not only Instagram, you know, to show off, to flex. You know,
It's like a very specific group of people who know
yeah,
what you're flexing about.
yeah. But then also, like, you know, there's people who, you know, wear head to toe Rick Owens and post it on Instagram. But you know, not everyone who wears Rick Owens does, and I'm sure not everyone who wears Supreme does either. But I don't know, you kind of, I guess it's like a subculture
Of
some
within,
sort.
yeah, okay. I always thought it kind of developed almost in like unison with rap to a certain degree. And
Yeah.
in my mind, like the person who kind of brought it into that was like A$AP Rocky. Would
Yeah.
that be kind of...
Yeah, interestingly, I kind of do agree with that. I mean, not only rap, but a lot of music is driven fashion for a lot of time. You know, like even, you know, punks was from music, which is then, you know, like now a pretty well recognized, you know, fashion kind of style. And even, you know, inspires a lot of, you know, contemporary designers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, A$AP Rocky actually, I do think, did have a pretty big impact on where fashion is at now. I mean, obviously, for a lot of, you know, like in the past few years, there's been massive on Raf Simons and a lot of other designers, and now a lot of people know it then. But even from his music in like 2011 and 12 with like Goldie and Purple Swag and stuff, you know, Raf Simons, Rick Owens, usually what I'm dressed in. That's from like, what is it, from Peso?
I think so.
Just
Yeah.
like 2011.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
you know, he's wearing Geo baskets and Y3 and stuff in that music video.
What was like, how was fashion regarded then? Like in that sense? Because like we see
yeah.
that now, I'm like, oh, fuck, that's awesome, you know?
Yeah. Not that highly or not that widely, I guess. You know, like
Right.
he was doing it. And so I think there's always been a market of people who have loved it and have been super obsessed by it. But I think at the time, and maybe it's because I was 15, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure at the time it wasn't that, you know, like, it's kind of like, oh, okay, like clothes, yeah.
Wearing some clothes.
Yeah, you know, okay, I've got clothes too.
We've all got clothes, buddy. Look at that. I remember seeing stuff like that too, and I'd be like, oh, it just looks ridiculous. You know, look at those clothes.
Yeah.
That's silly. But you kind of, I don't know, there's a lot more to an item as well. Like I think what I find somewhat attractive to the whole topic is like sounds bad, the lore behind
Yeah,
each
me too.
item of
I
clothing,
know, I love
you know,
that.
the story or how it came to be, you know, and do you think that's a pretty integral part?
For some of it, yeah, like definitely. There's some pieces which are just so, you know, mythical.
Yeah.
You know, like the $47,000 Raf Simons jacket, the Riot, spring, summer, or fall, winter 2001. You know, that, like, if I saw that in person, I would go insane. Like, it's just such a, you know, iconic piece.
Can you describe, like, why? Why is it so iconic?
I don't know. It's from, like, a very influential runway show, which, yeah, I don't know. It was just a very highly recognized piece, and then a lot of celebrities started wearing it back in like 2015, I'd say.
Okay.
You know, like Rihanna had one, Kanye West had one, Travis Scott had one, and it's just like it kind of became the one. You know, have you seen Drake's Tootsie Slide music video? It's that one.
Right.
It's
Okay.
the Tootsie Slide jacket now.
That's what it's come down to.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to Drake? He's kind of dropped off a tiny bit now, hasn't he?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I mean, the Tootsie Slide song is pretty shit.
Yeah, I think. Yeah,
It's made for TikTok, isn't it?
Career up. Pretty
It's
much.
like, and this dance and this. It's like, yeah.
Do you think rappers are making music now specifically for TikTok?
It seems like it, eh? Like, that is big money in it.
Is there though? Like, does a rapper get paid for like TikTok plays?
Well, like Lil Nas X with Old Town Road.
Yeah.
Like that got massive off TikTok, and now everyone knows who he is, and
That is true.
and he's rich, you know.
That's a really good point.
And good on him. I mean, he played the system.
Yeah, pretty. I just wonder, like, because somebody was saying, like, in order for like your album to go, let's say gold or platinum or something like that, only certain plays count. Like, you can't do sound. I don't think you can do SoundCloud plays because there's like a a security measure, or there's like an auto loop or something like that you can't game. But like Spotify for some reason counts. I think YouTube counts as well. But like certain numbers of views, don't quite like equal out like a play. I don't know.
Yeah, isn't it like 5 streams equals 1 purchase or something as well?
Is that right?
I think so.
In terms of like monetary value, like
Yeah, no, for like for even counting for charts and stuff.
oh really?
Yeah, like
I've got
streaming
no
is
idea.
not worth as much as someone buying it.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
Who the fuck buys music?
I know, I haven't bought a song in
Neither
years.
have I. Just the idea of having to buy a song too. Imagine that. Like remember you're on like iTunes, right? And they're like you can listen to like 20 seconds of the song.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, maybe I like this.
Yeah.
Like what the
And you spend, $1.30.
$1.30. Yeah. Or then if you want to buy an album, $20.
Yeah, man.
It's just I used to be amazed by somebody who had like 1,000 songs.
Yeah.
And it was either your instant thought is like, oh, you downloaded it illegally.
Yeah.
But if someone bought $1,000 worth of songs.
Yeah. Although I suppose that's what people did do back when it was, all physical.
Oh yeah. Probably. Do you reckon there was a greater appreciation for the maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
I think there's real merit in there being more barriers to entry in terms of like your appreciation of something.
Yeah. But also like, man, imagine buying an album without listening to it.
Yeah. In crazy.
You probably sound so young.
An album?
Yeah. Spotify playlist.
Discover Radio. Is that what it is? Discovery Radio?
Yeah, I only listen to the anime music.
I love anime music. I want to so like can we talk about hype fashion? Just tell me what is hype fashion.
I don't know. My first reaction is shit, but
right. Okay. Is it like a if you had to like break it down like really easily, just like, is it a clothing line? Okay, Off-White. That's hype, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Why is that hype? And do you feel kind of nervous about describing it like this?
Well, kind of. I mean, there's definitely more to it than I would probably give it credit for. You know, it's like, I guess there's kind of a lot of, like you said before, like there's lore to it. But, like a Supreme t-shirt, for some people it's just a t-shirt, but for some people it's a signifier of what they're into and everything. Like if you're wearing it because it's an artist collaboration that you really enjoy, that you might be doing it for that. And I don't know.
So maybe it's more the people who get into it.
Yeah, but also like
12-year-old kids on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a hard one to figure out, I reckon.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like once like someone like Rice Gum takes over, Supreme.
Yeah.
I'm calling Rice Gum out on this podcast.
Distract incoming.
Yeah. I dare you to get back at me. It would do wonders for my YouTube channel. Please get back at me, Rice Gum. I'll do anything. I wanted to also talk about like for me like a big reservation and this is 100% me, but like getting into fashion kind of develops like a bit of an ego trap, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I have an ego about clothing.
I don't think you do either.
Yeah, but I think some people definitely do. And for some people it's, a Balenciaga t-shirt and everything, and it's a $500 t-shirt and it's about showing off, but I don't know. I haven't bought full price in probably like 6 years.
Are you into fashion because of just the artistic value of it and like?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say just, but largely, yeah. And I don't know, it feels cool. I like to look nice.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Debatable if I do, but
rough day, huh, buddy? If you can't see the video now, Keegan's not wearing anything.
Yeah, just Supreme boxes.
It's incredibly confronting. He threw all cameras out the window. This did turn into a roast. I think I see that with myself. Like I went through like a very small phase of like, do I want to try and get more into clothing? And I instantly started becoming like more self-conscious. Yeah. The more value I put on the clothing that I was buying, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Well, I think like something a lot of people say is learn to dress before you get money. Like
right.
If you can look nice from thrift store clothes and from, just normal shops. Then once you really start enjoying clothing, or if you really start enjoying clothing, then you can, kind of mix in a couple pieces here and there. And not everything needs to be designer. I'm sitting here in a Uniqlo tee. This is like $20.
Right. Yeah. I couldn't tell. That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, it's also under like 5 layers. It's cold today.
I think I want to talk about one other thing too. Is like the idea. So we obviously we live in New Zealand. Can you like New Zealand fashion? And I think like some fashion lines in New Zealand kind of bank on that New Zealand made kind of label.
Yeah.
Is there really any credence to that though? Like the idea of like it being New Zealand made lends itself to like a higher quality product. Is that the case?
I don't know. It's kind of, I think it depends on the market. Like a lot of New Zealand designers are for people who kind of, like to look nice, but it's not really like, it's not on the same level as like a Rick Owens or a Raf Simons or something. Like it doesn't have that kind of degree of, respect or not respect, but like prodigy.
I actually don't even know what that word means.
Prodigy? What is
Pedigree?
Pedigree.
Yeah,
what did I say?
Prodigy.
Oh yeah.
I'm an idiot. Prodigy. I'll just cue that music.
Yeah.
And is that just like a matter of like history behind it, or is that just a matter of like the quality? Because I think I was talking to Chris about this, and he was talking about like New Zealand doesn't really have the capability.
Yeah, for sure.
Design like a really nice or a big clothing brand that consistently produces nice things.
Yep. There's definitely like a scale aspect to it. And then there's also the quality of what can be made as well. Like Zambezi, who are very like, they're made in New Zealand. That's one of the things, is that they're made in New Zealand. Back when World had that controversy where their labels were made in New Zealand and their clothes were made in, Bangladesh or whatever, and they had labels that said made in New Zealand.
Yeah, because that was part of the item of clothing or something like that.
But, that's like, that's not right. And there was a bit of controversy where, reporters went around to all these stores and looked at their labels, and Zambezi marketed themselves on made in New Zealand, and there was like a sequined or, embroidered top or something, and it was made in India. And they're like, what the hell, they're outsourcing it, it's not made in New Zealand, what a scam. But it's like, well, if you want good embroidery, no one in New Zealand can do that. It has to be made in India. They're fantastic at embroidery. The best brands in the world, like Dries Van Noten and stuff, some of the best brands in the world get their embroidery done in India. It's just they've got a culture for making that kind of thing. It's like, New Zealand has some really good fabrics, really good materials. Like, our wool is second to none. You'll see, brands like Lanvin, massive designer brands who are advertise it as New Zealand merino and stuff. But, made in Italy is still kind of, the gold standard.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That makes sense, I think, as well. Because I was like, I can only draw to like other things that I've heard, but like I've heard the idea of like, just because sometimes like for example, Vietnam, right? They produce like, is it quite a bit of denim? Is that right?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, I think I might be totally wrong here, but I think Vietnam produced a lot of denim. And then when you have like this whole system that's like been designed, and like built up over like 80 years, they can do things much more efficiently. Yeah. Probably like with lower environmental impact as well. Maybe not with denim.
Yeah, denim's pretty water intensive, I think.
Is that right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think that is actually. There's like a lot of like chemicals that are used inside of it as well, right?
Yeah. Well, the gold standard for denim is made in Japan.
Really?
Yeah. Which is actually quite a cool story.
Please tell. Seriously, yeah, I want to hear it.
Well, after, in this kind of the 50s, back when, because it used to be, denim was sort of, pioneered in the USA.
Yeah, and American denim.
Yeah, and even though denim means denim, which is from Nimes in France.
Is that right?
Yeah, it was like a type of fabric.
Really?
Yeah, but, like the first Levi Strauss made the first jeans back in, I don't know, 1800s.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow, I had no idea. Was that so? Those were the 1800s when the first jeans came out.
Yeah.
Do you reckon there's like any like an original pair of those jeans?
Yeah, and they're worth a lot of money.
Are they? Actually?
Yeah, Levi's collect them.
Really?
Yeah, and they have them, like in temperature controlled rooms, and they're worth like 6 digits.
I can imagine.
Match that with your RAF.
Levi, motherfucker. I feel like, yeah, because it would rot. Surely it would rot after like a long period of time. Does denim rot?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so in the 1950s, when America started getting really, like industrialized and, kind of mass producing stuff, they sold off all their old like denim, what are they called? Machines?
Yeah.
Looms and stuff.
Mills.
Yeah, I don't know. And, that was when the Americans were occupying parts of Japan after World War II.
Right.
And so they sold them a lot of their machines. And so a lot of those old mills were then in Japan. And so then they got really good at making denim because, they had the old machines and kind of got used to that and then sort of developed a culture from that.
Right. How interesting. I've heard so many interesting things about the whole like Japanese culture, just in terms of like there's like a lot of things that are influenced from like I can talk about whiskey, right? Like there's you have your Scottish whiskey, and then the Japanese took the Scottish whiskey, I think in like the 1920s, and brought it over to Japan and created their own version of the whiskey.
Yeah.
In like entwined a lot of almost like cultural significance to it as well. Like there's the idea of just like perfection, I think, and like developing like a real sense of mastery around like one topic.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
I'd like to go to Japan one day.
Yeah. Well, you were supposed to go, right?
Yeah. Thanks, COVID.
Do you think you'll go back?
I plan to.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not really planning anything at the moment. But
Yeah, no.
I'll make it there one day. It's
you
not going anywhere.
You got credits, right, for your flights? Or
No, I just lost it all.
Fuck, man. Yeah, you're like probably the hardest hit that I've heard of anybody.
No, I wasn't that bad. Like friends of mine had it worse.
Yeah. Do you think if you went over when you planned to, you would have enjoyed it still, or?
I think I would have enjoyed it, but it would have cost me a lot more money because
Right.
I would have had on the way back the flights were cancelled, so I would have had to have had emergency flights, which my insurance wouldn't have covered.
Do you have to pay for those? I thought like New Zealand was offering Mercy flights for free.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
And maybe for some people, but you know,
diplomats and stuff.
or people who like really were stuck.
Yeah.
There was nothing really stopping me getting on a plane.
True. Yeah. And plus, like your reason for being over there is probably a bit.
Yeah, I'm on holiday.
Holiday. Yeah. I think as well though you have to take time off of work and you have to have that 2 weeks quarantine.
Yeah.
I know somebody who's in quarantine like right now and just looks pretty fun.
It looks fun.
I just seems like I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like I could utilize 2 weeks of just being locked into a room again because we just came out of like was it 7 weeks? Of lockdown?
Yeah, about that.
I got a lot out of it.
Yeah. I didn't.
Did you not? Did you?
Well, I was working the whole time.
That's
so,
right. Yeah.
It was still only a 2-day weekend.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of, when you don't leave the house for 7 weeks, it kind of all just rolls into one. And so, I don't know, it feels weird. Just felt like purgatory.
Yeah, I think first 4 weeks for me, awesome. And like the last 3 weeks were just kind of, I definitely felt like I was getting a bit itchy. But I think in hindsight, looking back on it now, but I think that's with anything, right? A bit of retrospect.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, wow, everything's amazing back then.
Yeah, once you kind of get a little bit removed from it, you only remember the good bits.
Yeah. Someone was telling me that's like actually a psychological defense mechanism.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you just get really depressed.
Yeah, back in the good old days.
Yeah. Nothing's ever the same. Well, let me see. I wanted to ask you some other things as well, just as far as fashion goes. Yeah, well, we talked about a bit of the whole rap. Do you know if any other like big influences on like for me, when I think about fashion, I think like Andy Warhol, but he was more just pop, right?
Yeah,
like a pop figure.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say he was that influential for clothing. I mean, if you say A$AP Rocky, you've got to say Kanye as well.
Sure, of course.
Like Kanye there was a time where anything Kanye wore sold out like straight away, and
Just
then
like
everyone was wearing it.
Really?
Yeah.
What happened? What changed that? Him supporting Trump?
No, I think his style changed, and it kind of just didn't resonate as well. I mean, like it still does, and obviously people still, love Yeezys and everything. And a lot of the stuff he wears is still then gets quite coveted, but not how it was in like 2015.
Was 2015 when he was going into the whole punk style? Was that right?
No, he got actually really well dressed for a while. I mean, not to say he's not well dressed now, although it's not my style.
Yeah, right. What's his style now? How would you describe that?
Dadcore.
Dadcore, yeah.
It's,
true.
just big chunky sneakers and sweatpants and a t-shirt and hoodie and stuff. And it's all, quite nice cuts and a lot of graphics, but I don't know.
Super baggy.
Yeah, he looks comfortable.
Yeah.
I'm sure he is.
In every sense of the word.
Yeah.
Financially. Maybe not mentally, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, like, was his peak then during that punk kind of...
I don't know. It was kind of like after... Like around the Yeezus time. After the Yeezus time. He was like... wore like Hader Ackman pants and everyone bought them. Bottega Veneta boots and everyone bought them. And there's like expensive things. It wasn't like he was wearing a Supreme tee and then people flocked to Supreme and queue outside. But yeah, I don't know. It was pretty amazing the effect that he had on some things.
Yeah. It was like pretty groundbreaking just when he came into the whole scene. Right? It was like 2008, I think, is when he came in.
No, he's been doing stuff since like 2004.
I think it's 2004.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it Graduation? Was his first album?
No, that was like his third or fourth. It was like College Dropout. And Late Registration.
What really blew my mind recently is I was like talking to somebody about this, and it was like someone who was 18, and it was the first time where I've done that thing where I'm like, oh fuck,
yep.
And I'm only 24, so I don't feel like I should be having this right now. But I said to somebody, I was like, oh yeah, she goes, oh, I really like Kanye, and I was like, oh, like what album do you like? And she was like, his one with Kid Cudi. I'm like, what, the pretty recent one? He went, yeah. And I was like, what about, do you like his like older stuff? Like, college, like Graduation, And she goes, I haven't heard that one before.
Oh, man.
I just went like, oh,
yeah.
Fuck my life.
Yeah. I know. Well, I was talking to a friend of mine who I think is like 17. And we were talking about Travis Scott. And he was like, oh, like, what's your favorite Travis Scott album? And I was like, oh, I really liked his older stuff, like El Faro. Like, I remember when that came out. And he's like, whoa, that's so long ago. I was like, well... 2013. I was like 18. Like, what?
Far out. I don't like it.
Yeah, and I was like, I mean, because I knew him because he did like songs with Kanye and stuff. He was on like a few remixes from the like Cruel Summer album, and he was like, oh, I haven't even heard of that one. I was like, like the song Mercy and stuff, and he's like, no. I was like, oh man,
jeez, Mercy was like one of the biggest songs at the time.
Yeah, I know, but like also. 2013, how long ago was that?
7 years. Yeah.
7 years, so he would have been like 10.
It's weird. Time feels like relative. Like after high school, everything feels like it was not long ago. You know?
Well, the one that scares me was that like 5 years ago was 2015. That's half a decade. That's like how long we were at high school.
Yeah.
It feels like the blink of an eye.
And I feel like when I think of 2015, I think of recent. Yeah, 2015. Yeah. Not long ago. That was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you've had a pretty good life so far?
Yeah, I can't complain.
Yeah, no, neither can I. I think I'm pretty good. Imagine if it was like, no. Mute. Disconnect mic.
Gavin doesn't want to learn this.
Gavin does not learn today. Well, dude, I think that pretty much wraps us up. Is there anything else you want to talk about as far as fashion?
I don't know.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, is there anything you want to know?
I think I pretty much covered it off quite a bit. I was really interested. And I think,
fashion completed. I know it now.
Done. Boo. No likey. I'm gonna go buy some. Supreme.
Gonna go queue for some Yeezys.
I actually want to be in line for.
Nick was telling me that.
Yeah, have you ever done that before?
No, I haven't.
Lined up for clothing.
No.
Oh God. I remember. Okay, there's this. I used to when I was living. When I say lived, I was in LA for like a month, staying in a hostel. I was really living. But I was in LA and I was on, I think it was like Sunset Boulevard or something like that. And there was a Supreme store.
Fairfax.
Yes, Fairfax. That's exactly where it was. I was living on Fairfax. Living, in air quotes.
Yeah, it was a couple blocks.
Yeah, I was literally on Fairfax, the road. I prefer to refer to it as squatting, or like the government does. But I was there and there was, a Supreme store there. And I remember they were doing, I think it was the summer drop at the time. And there was a line that went, I swear to
crazy.
God, for like a mile.
Yeah.
So like almost 2K. I didn't understand, like the people at the very end what is left for you?
Yeah.
Is there anything left?
I don't know.
Yeah, just tissues.
Yeah, it seems weird. Just give me a tissue paper.
We're selling these
Supreme
tissue
stickers,
paper.
please. I'll give you $100.
But I think people were waiting for 3 days outside that place. Blew my mind.
It's crazy. I know. I saw them in when I was in New York last. It was pretty funny because I kind of I was going to a gallery which was just across the road.
Yeah.
And I kind of didn't realize that it was Supreme drop day, and so I showed up at this thing, and it was just. It's quite intimidating, just like a massive, massive queue, and everyone's looking at what you're wearing as you walk past.
Yeah, we wearing good stuff.
I always wear good stuff. I think it was like head to toe Rick Owens,
Nice.
and everyone's kind of like just staring as you walk past, and you're kind of trying not to make eye contact. But it's funny because everyone's just trying to flex.
Yeah.
Like people were pulling up in their, their like Ferrari outside and getting out and standing in queue. Like I don't know if that's the flex you think it is.
They leave the line after as well.
Yeah.
But my thinking is maybe there's a real merit in having it first. Remember when the iPhone came out? People were lining up for the iPhone, and there's that video of the first guy to get an iPhone. He drops it. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah, that pains me.
What an idiot! And then the whole crowd's. Oh!
Yeah. Well, no, I know a lot of people for the Supreme drops. I know a lot of people say that it's kind of the culture. They quite enjoy it because all their friends go out and do the same thing as well. And it's just you hang out there for a day or whatever, and then you get some stuff and you flip it.
I guess that kind of makes sense. Actually, it's more like an event. Right?
Yeah, and if you're selling it, if you buy something for $100 and sell it for $500, and you wait 12 hours, it's not a bad hourly rate.
Is that
for
generally the returns that you can get on that?
I don't know. I'm not too versed in the Supreme market.
Yeah.
But for especially young people, it's good money.
Yeah.
It's more than they've ever really made before.
Yeah.
You can't just get a job where you can do 2 days work and get paid, a couple $100.
That's a really good point. Yeah, because my thinking was instantly okay, someone jumps in line, waits 2 days. Couldn't you just get a job in 2 days and buy that?
Yeah.
Regardless.
Yeah.
But plus you're probably enjoying it more than working a job.
Yeah, I don't know, unless it's cold.
Unless it's cold, yeah. So you just want to go for those summer drops.
Yeah.
None of that winter shit.
Yeah.
Someone dies in line.
Yeah. I saw a queue outside Foot Locker the other day.
Yes, I was there. I was not in the line.
Oh, yeah,
I saw the queue.
Yeah, yeah. And I work just by it. And so as I was walking out, there were these dudes queuing, and I was like, oh my God, it's the drop. And there was some guy talking to them, and he's like, what are you guys waiting for? And I was like, oh, it's a pair of shoes. And he's like, what's so special about them? And they're like, oh, they're, the only ones, it's the only place you can get them in New Zealand. And he was like, oh, when are they releasing? And it's like, oh, tomorrow morning. And the guy's like, you're here all night? And he just seems so blown away. And then, I'm going to work the next morning, and they're still there.
Yeah. How wild is that?
Yeah, I've, gone home, had dinner, hung out for the evening.
Lived your life.
Slept, got ready for work the next morning, and just sat there.
Jeez. If I do it, and I think I kind of want to do it just as a meme.
Yeah,
but
just to see what it's like.
Yeah. I'm bringing everything. I'm bringing freeze-dried meals. I'm bringing diesel
bringing a microwave.
Generator. Yeah. I'm bringing a PlayStation and a TV to plug into that.
Yeah.
I'm bringing a bed.
Yeah, you can see this TV screen here from down outside Area 51.
Yeah.
How long's the wireless remote go?
And a mic, little binoculars
Yeah.
as well. I'm doing that. Yeah,
That'd be
I'm
quite
fun. Imagine imagine this. You just pull up with a massive van. And it's just parked on the
The
side.
door rolls open. That would actually be quite fun. Pull a truck outside Foot Locker and just have a big TV and speakers.
I think no one in line would be mad at you.
No, I think everyone would love it.
Yeah, this is great. No, actually, this is good. Good for the culture.
Yeah, it's the culture.
Doing it perfectly. God, I've never been much of a line waiter. The only time I've waited in line is for sushi. Half-price sushi.
Oh, yeah. Shout out Sushi B.
Sushi B. I'll charge you for that. Shout out to all 0 subscribers. Nice. Well, hey, Keegan, thank you very much for coming on today.
No problem.
Anything you want to plug? Your book? I know you don't have a book coming out.
No.
All right.
Follow me on Grailed.
Actually, before we go, what is Grailed?
It's just a place to sell secondhand clothes.
For good prices?
Well,
you just lowball the fuck out of people?
Yeah. Pretty much. No, it's the best place to find a lot of stuff like there's a lot of new stuff, a lot of old stuff, a lot of decently priced stuff. You get a lot of my stuff from Grailed.
Really?
Yeah.
That should be, no, I can't afford it.
Yeah, it can be quite intimidating because there's just so much stuff. Like I find it's best when you kind of either you kind of know what you like, and like I don't. I sort by like most recently added in the like the Grail category, which is not the Supreme stuff and not the core stuff. So it's just a lot of it's pretty good, and you can find some pretty good bargains.
Yeah. I'm not going on there. I'm sick of the Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Bye.
See ya.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to episode number 2 with my friend Keegan. Hope you found that interesting. Once again, to wrap up, we have another show on the 21st of August out at the Newtown Social Club. Starts at 8 p.m. Still some tickets available, so get them while they're hot. And yeah, that's it for the moment. Keep an eye out, and more will be coming. Watch this space. Thank you guys. Bye.